Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy here, Spyro 2355. And as you can tell by the background music, we're going to be talking about Spyro the Dragon today. And I personally love Spyro the Dragon. Here's my history with the purple dragon himself, Spyro. It's so good. Now, I don't have any clips to show you because of my video editor going down. But I figured I'd take this time to just talk about him, tell you about where my history started, just all kinds of different good stuff, and tell you all about my Spyro gaming career. So, here it is. And I promised this back on my channel trailer, but I couldn't really figure out a way to do it because of my video editor being down. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to talk about it and play some music in the back and hope for the best, I'm going to play some Spyro music in the back and hope for the best. I got on the original soundtrack right now. But see, personally for me, my journey with Spyro started way back in the day. Back in 98 when it first dropped. Maybe even a little bit before that, because I remember getting Crash Bandicoot Warped. And because my mom would always buy me every Crash game that came out that year. So she would buy me like Crash 1 first, then Crash 2, then Crash 3. She just and then CTR, and then, blah, 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 up into a certain point. And I think Wrath of Cortex was the last game she bought for me. So, Crash-wise. And so, I got Spyro the Dragon exposure because of the demo. I would always look through the booklets just because I loved the art in the booklets. I thought that they were pretty cool. That's why it kind of bums me out today when I don't see any more instruction booklets come out. Because it's like, okay, why do they not? Why do they not print these high color art books and stuff like they used to in the old days, I'm 30 years old, so, I was about, I was like 10, maybe 11 at the time. I was about to turn 10, that's right. Because I was born in 88, and Spyro came out in 98. So, I was 10, and, it's kind of surreal for me thinking back on it, because it's like, holy crap, has it been that long? It sure don't feel like it's been 20 years, but it has. And so, I was flipping through the Crash Bandicoot Warped booklet, and I saw the demo there for Spyro the Dragon. And I was like, Spyro the Dragon. Well, I love dragons. Where do I input this? At the title screen. Okay. Click, 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 click. And I started playing Spyro the Dragon. And I was just like, holy crap. Because then it loaded up Artisans, and I'm like, perfect segue for the music, right? But then it loaded up Artisans, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. This is so cool. Like, how, do they do this? I can choose which levels I want to go to? That's awesome. That's so cool. And I started playing it. And Mom must have noticed or something. Because for Christmas that year, I got Spyro the Dragon. And I was like, I didn't even ask Mom for it or anything. And she just walked in with it and wrapped it and everything. And I opened it on Christmas morning. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I wanted. And I was so giddy. I immediately went into the bedroom and put it in my PlayStation. And, by this time my brother was only like 3 years old. So there's no way he could have played it. So, I got this game all for me. And I was like, yes, and I popped it in my PlayStation, turned it on, and as soon as, that iconic PlayStation logo went away and it said Sony Computer Entertainment America presents and showed that Insomniac game logo that's famous nowadays, I was just floored. And, it showed Spyro zooming in and nailing that Nork. I was like, Oh man, this is so cool. You know, because you got to understand, back then games didn't do that. You know, games didn't have that full video motion thing. They just didn't do it. So to have one that did that was just totally awesome. So then, you know, I start playing the game and get loaded into Artisans, and the first level that I ever played, after I beat the homeworld, of course, was Stone Hill. Gosh, I am nailing these segues. The music's going along perfect with it. Okay, keep on rolling. The first, level I ever played was Stone Hill. I swear I didn't plan that. That just happened. The same thing with the other transition. But I started playing Stone Hill, and I was like, holy crap, dude, this game is wicked. It does so much stuff that no other game does. You know, and at this point, I'd been playing Crash Bandicoot for a few years. And I was just like, holy crap, you know, this is just so cool. This is so good. This is so awesome. So I, kept playing through and getting all the treasure and stuff in Stone Hill. And I was just sitting there blown away with my, brand new analog stick controller. Because I had asked Mom for one so that way I could use it with Crash 3. And plus I had Ape Escape by that point. And it required you to have the analog stick controller, which is the DualShock controller. So I had to have one anyway, otherwise I couldn't play the game, right? So I got that controller and I was using it for Spyro, and I was just like, just sitting there playing it. I was just mind blown by everything that I was seeing, right? So I was just completely just like, wow. This is so awesome. And, then I catch the little, and as soon as I go into this other part of the level, I hear, nee, 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 nee. And I was like, I look around the screen, I don't see anything. And then I hear it again, nee, 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 nee. And I'm like, where is this? So I freed the dragon that was up the little whirlwind, and I saw a little blue guy, and I was like, that's got to be where that's coming from. I glided right to him, got him, got all the treasure, got all the dragons, and went on. And I just fell in love with Spyro, played through the whole game, and Sunny Flight was pretty cool. Which is what this level music is. And while I am a fan of Sunny Flight, I remember when I first started playing them, the flight levels for me were always the hardest, and I just couldn't, I just could not do it. For the longest time, I would always run out of time, and my mom and my stepdad, John. At the time, it was John, my brother's dad. He didn't really play many games like that, so he couldn't really do it either. And I was just like, man, none of us can beat this. So I just eventually just gave up on the flight level, did Toasty. Since there were no dragons in the flight level, I thought, well, that's not really going to be that big of a deal. Then I found out when I went to Peacekeepers, it was just like, we had to collect all this treasure. And I'm like, well, I need to go back to Sunny Flight and try to beat it. And actually, Spyro was the first game I ever actually tried to 100%. Because I remember, was like, well, if I'm going to need all this stuff later anyway, I might as well just go ahead and just go for it. And just try to get to 100% and just keep on pounding at it until I get to 100%. And so I did. I pounded away at it. Kept on going, kept on trying, kept on, hitting that hard, trying to get that 100%. And I remember getting to Magic Crafters, and it was a combination of all the different stuff you needed in the game. Not just the, dragons, or not just the treasure, or not just the eggs. You needed a certain amount of each one. And I think it was like 6 out of the 12 eggs or something like that. You needed at least half of them. And I absolutely adored Spyro for just forever. And then when the second one came out, man, it was like it was like a year later, and Mom was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and get you both Spyro and Crash this year, but don't ask for any other presents. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I won't. So Mom got me the next one that next year. And I really got to give Mom credit for that, because that was at a time when I think I was like 11, maybe 12, when her and my stepdad, John, divorced and split up. And that was hard for me. And I knew Mom didn't have much money because she was losing basically half of her income. And so, and I was 11. So for me to realize that, proves I was sharp as a tack. But Mom, getting me those games, and I was just like, she had got me Crash Team Racing and then Spyro 2. And I was like, this is just awesome. Thank you so much. And I knew it wasn't going to be much, Christmas that year. She bought me 2 games. I was completely content with that. She bought my brother a few things. I was perfectly 100% content with that. I was, not going to ask her for nothing. And then my stepdad had bought me a Game Boy Color with Pokemon Gold and Zelda DX. And that was just from him. And I wasn't expecting that. But, that was beginning of Pokemon for me. So that's another episode. But yeah, I was just on cloud 9 the whole time I was, playing the Spyro 2, because it introduced Ripto and all these new mechanics and all these new moves where you could swim underwater and swim at all, because in the first game you can't swim. So to see that going on, it was just like, yes, here, it was just so cool. And, it was something that no other game had managed to pull off. And the fact that I was actually playing this was just beyond me. And again, I tried to go for that 100%. It was Spyro the Dragon that made me a completionist. It was Spyro that really just turned me onto that and made me go for 100% in games. I went back in Ape Escape and tried to get all the apes because I had gotten Spyro'd 100%ed by the time she got me the second one. And, I was just sitting there pounding away at them. I had tried to do so many. Of course, Ape Escape's a lot harder to 100% complete than Spyro. And I didn't know that at the time. So for me to actually, try to go for that was just ludicrous. And I eventually had to give up until I was, a little bit better at it, But, I absolutely adored playing all these games. I did own Spyro Year of the Dragon. Mom bought me for that the next year for Christmas. And I did own it, but I never got to beat it. Because of constraints in school and everything else, and I was having a hard time keeping up in school, so Mom took away the games. So it was harder for me to really beat Spyro 3. Plus, the different mechanics just made it really hard, and all the different characters and all the different ways you could do stuff made it really hard for me to try to beat them. So I just was like, I'm just going to put this down for now. As much as I love Spyro, I'm just going to have to wait, not touch it. And it wasn't until many years later that I went back, and I never even owned Enter the Dragonfly. And I didn't own A Hero's Tale either. It wasn't until many years later that I got to play those two. And I actually kind of liked Enter the Dragonfly, with the exception of the few minor glitches I encountered. I mean, overall, the story was pretty good, A Hero's Tale was the same way. I enjoyed the story in it. But like I said, it wasn't until many years later that I got to play them. Probably, 2000 and I'd say 7 or 8 when I got to play those. And then I played the Legends series right after Skylanders came out. And, I was like, I got the first Legend game for like $20 at Walmart. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. I'm going to go ahead and get this. Even though Spyro did kind of look a little childish on the cover, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a chance because I'm such a big Spyro fan. I'm going to try this out. So I did. And I started loving the Legends series because, you know, the voice acting really added to it. And the fact they got Gary Oldman and David Spade and Elijah Wood and all these big names to play in this game, I was like, you know what? I'm going to play this. And I was just blown away by it. So I started playing the Legend series and played, you know, A New Beginning and, you know, loved it, especially with the Fury attacks. I am absolutely a big fan of those. And then played Eternal Night, and it was close to the same thing. You know, the story was fantastic. I loved the game. I loved how you had to adventure around and go to try to chase Cinder and everything, because Cinder was the love interest from the first game. You know, and like they you know just got reunited and everything, and they started to develop feelings for each other. You could tell even just through the first game. You know, in the Legend series that they were like that, and then the part 2 came and. You know, they just grew closer and closer, and you know, it was just ultimately Cinder who saved him from being Dark Spyro. Spoiler warning. But you know, then the third game came, and it was just like it was just a continuation of the second game, and it was like I just wanted to keep playing these games. I got mine on the PS2. All of mine were the PS2 versions. I never got into the PS3 until recently. You know, I never owned a PS3. So I never really got the chance to really play it the way everybody else did. And even then, I only owned it on the PS2 and the Wii. There was only 2 consoles I ever owned it on. I never got to play the PS3 version. So... You know, if you guys know a good place to get a hold of that, leave it in the comments below, because it's not on the store anymore, and I can't find a good physical copy of it for cheap. So if you can find a good place for me to order it from, leave a comment below and let me know. But then I started playing Skylanders, and I was like, you know what? I got the Spyro's Adventure Starter Pack about a year after it came out, and I was like, you know what? This is actually pretty fun. This is pretty good. I really enjoy this. And I bought more figures and started getting into the games a little bit more. And then I got Giants, and I started loving it. Swap Force and all them up to a certain point. And then I was just like, you know what? I can't afford to do this right now. I'm going to have to just... Because by that point I was going to college, and I was like, you know, I really need to focus on my school. And I ended up flunking out anyway. By the way, that's my notification tone, so you can tell I'm a big Spyro fan. But yeah, I end up, you know, putting it down for a little while. And then I started finding all these other Skylanders games like Swap Force and stuff when I got my 360. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go for this. You know... And I couldn't get enough of it, you know, and I just started collecting a bunch of figures, and, you know, it was just so cool for me, because I started getting all these different things, and I think at this point, I hadn't really counted them recently, but I think my latest collection of figures is up to like 37 or 38 characters. I don't remember exactly how many I own, but I own a lot, so, yeah, that's, up to this point, my most recent game I got was Skylanders Superchargers, which I lost the car for. I can't find it anywhere. I've been trying to, but I think it's just missing. And I'm going to try to find it, but we'll see. But I think that pretty much wraps up my history with Spyro the Dragon. I still haven't played through all of the Skylanders games yet. I'm still working on that. But pretty much every other game I've played through and beaten in the Spyro universe. And it's just been a phenomenal ride for 20 years for me. I have absolutely adored Spyro. And that's why I think everybody should, in the Spyro community itself, should just love and tolerate, you know, and just be nice to each other about it. Don't hate on other people, because, you know, they could be like me, you know, and just love all forms of Spyro. And they just want to have fun with it. like I did when I was growing up. I mean, that, you know, each individual Spyro game is special to me, and for one reason or another. I'm a huge Spyro fan. Always have been. Still on the hunt for Skylanders Imaginators, though. So if you guys know of a good place I can get it for the PlayStation 4, let me know. Yeah. And let me know in the comments below for question of the day, you know, about what your history is with Spyro, what your first Spyro game was. Let me know in the comments below. Much love to all you guys. Thank you guys for listening to me, you know, fan gaga about Spyro. I mean, it's a series I hold near and dear to my heart, and I absolutely adore it. So thank you guys so much. Much love to you guys. Peace out.